Hey, guys. Welcome to the Coach My Life podcast. I am your host, Latoya Early, and I am excited to bring to you guys a new and innovative way to bring coaching to your car, to your living room, to wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. I'm excited to introduce this new podcast to you. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of coaching and how coaching can tremendously change your life. So, if this is your first time hearing about Coach My Life, learning about the Coach My Life podcast, we are here coaching everyday people through everyday life. We are a faith based coaching resource for individuals who are looking for strategy. You're looking for someone who can help you get past your most challenging moments in life to really help you reach your next level. So I want to welcome our amazing team to the show. We have our amazing leadership coach, Jasmine Pittman. We have our forgiveness coach, Sandra Cobb. Super excited to have both of these ladies here with us on this fantastic day. I hope that you guys are ready. Make sure you pull out your Coach My Life journal, okay? If you haven't gotten your journal, I know that you just may be new to the network, you may be new to the podcast, but make sure you have your journal so that you can write down some notes so that you can keep everything that we talk about here on the podcast in one place. So I'm done talking. Y'all know I'm good for it. If this is your first time meeting me, if this is your first time hearing me, y'all gonna know that your girl enjoys talking, okay? Especially when it comes to coaching. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm excited about the show. Not only do we have an amazing show today with our co-hosts, Jasmine and Sandra, but make sure you are following our podcast. Make sure that you are subscribing and you have downloaded so that you can gain more good content and good conversation so that we can help you navigate through those challenging times in your life. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Coach Jay. Allow her to introduce herself to the amazing people here on the podcast, and then we're going to head over to Coach Sandra. Coach Jazz, tag, you are it.
Hello. Listen, let me tell you something. I'm so glad you changed to Coach J, Coach Jazz, because this whole time you was calling me Jasmine. I'm like, who is that? Oh, that's me. I never hear my name. It's always like J, Jazz, like, Miss Pittman. I never hear my name anymore. So I had to be like, that sounds so strange. But hello to everyone in the podcast world. If you're listening, we're so excited that you're listening. I am Coach Jasmine Pittman. However, I just go by Jazz or Jay. It's very easy to say that. So you call me Coach J, Coach Jazz. That's how it goes. I am a leadership coach. My goal, my job, my joy is in training and developing leaders to be able to successfully handle their role and to show up with confidence. So that is what my goal, my job, my life's mission, my passion is. And I have the pleasure of being able to work with these two lovely ladies, Coach Latoya, Coach Sandra. They are amazing and dynamic. So I'm excited because I feel like we have the most amazing conversations on a day to day.
We do.
So for it to be recorded is like, okay, let's see what this looks like. So I'm excited. I'm glad you guys are here.
Yeah, it's definitely time. We have all of these candy conversations and we like, why didn't we record this? So this is our time to have those conversations live. Super excited. Coach Sandra, let the people know who you are.
Yes, I am. And hello, let me say hello first to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're in for a treat, not just this time, but every time you watch this podcast. I am certain of it that you will be grateful that you tuned in. I am Sandra Cobb. I am a certified forgiveness coach. And I help people who have experienced traumatic events like the murder of a loved one and other traumatic events to re-engage in their life through inner healing and forgiveness. I love to say I am a proud graduate of the Chase Great University training program where I got my certification from. And this is how I met these two amazing coaches. And God has brought us together and jailed us as a team. We're all committed, each of us, we are committed to doing what God has created us to do and to touch and connect with the people that connect with us. And each of us may have different niche that we may work with, But trust me when I say our sole purpose is to help you. As Coach Latoya said, there may be some struggle that you're going through, and you just don't know how to get from point A to point B. And we want to help you get there. So thank you for tuning in. You are in for a treat. And I'm so glad to be around the table having this conversation with my sister coaches.
Yes, 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 yes. So just to give some of our listeners, give you guys just a little bit of history or the foundation of who we are. So the Coach My Life Network, we designed this platform to serve the coaches who have graduated as niche certified coaches through Chase Gray University. Chase Gray University is a niche coaching certification program for Christian startup coaches, where we help you align your life's purpose with your coaching message so that you can generate profit without compromising your kingdom assignment. And so we take our coaches through this 6-month program where we're helping them develop their coaching programs and their messaging. And I'm like, listen, there's no way that we can just give you a certification and just send you out in the world. I've been coaching for 11 years. And let me tell y'all, building a coaching business from scratch is not for the weak at heart. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to create a space where not only are we training kingdom coaches, helping them to stay grounded in the word of God, helping them to design their programming and their systems according to the word of God, but to really provide an outlet. So once our coaches certified through our curriculum, they are then join here with us on this platform to talk about their area of expertise. So the coaches that you're going to hear over the next several episodes are all Chase Great certified coaches. And we may have a few guests sprinkle in every now and again, but for the most part, the coaches that are on this platform are Chase Great niche certified coaches. So you are in good hands. Do know that our coaches are trained not just biblically, but they are also trained according to the code of conduct, the coaching code of conduct. So no worries there. So okay, we've done all the preliminaries. We've talked about who we are, and we sound all super professional and all of that good stuff. I want to get to the point of why this podcast is so important. It's so funny how we navigate through life and we go through so many life challenges. We go through so many issues. And a lot of us get into a space where the enemy will come in and he'll make you think that you're the only one going through that.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not the only one that has experienced that, where I'm experiencing something personally and it's like, it's just you. And when you have those type of thoughts, what it does is it causes you to kind of close in
Mm-hmm.
or put yourself on this isolated island. It causes you to feel like that you have to navigate through this journey or this challenge by yourself. And I'm like, enough is enough. I think that the
Mm-hmm.
enemy has done enough work trying to keep people on an isolated island and keep them stuck. And so my goal for the next however many episodes this podcast produces is to help people connect with our stories, with our challenges, so that you know that you're not alone. So I want to take this time. Of course, we've talked to Coach Jay, who's a leadership coach. We're speaking with Coach Sandra, who's a forgiveness coach. I'm so glad that we have coaches in different areas. I'm focusing on business. Coach
Mm-hmm.
Jazz focuses on leadership. Coach Sandra focuses on forgiveness. But I want to talk about the importance of coaching in general.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that I think there's like a reputation about coaching out in this world. And I don't think it's a good one. It's
Mm-hmm.
like if you're not in the coaching space, you don't really understand the importance of coaching. And so I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of want to take some time and allow Coach Jazz and Coach Sandra to just kind of talk about, why do you think why should coaching be, a priority in people's lives? So
Mm-hmm.
either one of you guys can kind of jump in on that.
I'll jump. I think so. I think it's well, as a coach who has a coach, I see the value in that. And so just because I am a coach, I also have a coach. And what I've learned in coaching is that you need coaches in different areas. And so the only way I can try to help explain this to people is I very often point them into the direction of like their favorite basketball player, right? Your favorite basketball player, although they are as good as they would not be where they are without the assistance of a coach. They are a player on a team who is led by a coach. So somebody is still giving them direction and giving them guidance. In addition to that coach, they have nutrition coaches, they have financial coaches for their money. They have all of these different people that are specialized in a particular
Mhm.
area to help them to become greater in what they do. Yes, they have the skill, but someone has to help them nurture that skill, develop that skill, grow that skill, and they're able to see what they can't see. Very often your coaches are there to help guide you to your greatness or to there's a endpoint that you two may have designed together, be it your favorite basketball player wanting the championship, or be it you wanting better in your career, better in your everyday life. There's a very strong need for someone else to help guide you there. I could talk about me personally. Like, had I had a coach when I was in corporate America, I may have still been in corporate America. Had I had someone to help guide me through that journey as a young African American in corporate America, maybe I would have been able to avoid certain pitfalls that I hit because I did not know. And so your coach is there to kind of help guide you and navigate you, help you avoid some pitfalls, help you celebrate some wins or acknowledge some wins. They're there to help make you better because one, either they've experienced with you what you have experienced, and they're here there to guide you past those pitfalls, or that's just their area of expertise. They've done the work to be able to become an expert in that particular area. So as a coach, it's like it's easy for me to tell people you need a coach, but before I was a coach, I can understand where the disconnect is for
Yeah.
people. But now it's like when I got a coach, my life became better. Like I got a coach. I was doing business. My very first contract under my coach was a 5-figure contract. Could I have done that by myself? Eventually, I got there faster
Mhm.
because I had someone guiding me there. And so your coach is there as a guide. We're not there to tell you all the answers. We don't know all the answers, but we're there to help guide you to the right place for yourself. So yeah, I think I answered it. I
No,
think.
you did. You definitely did. What I love most about what you said is the whole sports, right? And this is so perfect because I had the opportunity. So Coach Jazz, she also works in the school system. And so I got a chance to come to her class and we were talking and I was helping the students build out their businesses, right? And so a lot of the students are like, we write down what are the top 3 things that you absolutely love to do? 50% of them are saying they love basketball. I love basketball. I love basketball. Right? They're kids. I mean, most times they're not exposed to too much more. So that's what they say. So, okay, fine. Let's build a business out of basketball. So my first question was, what position do you play? Right? So instead of, instead of, we probably lost Coach Sandra, but I'm sure she'll be back. Instead of, asking them to teach or coach for the entire team, how about
Yeah.
we coach this specific position, right? How about
Mhm.
we, like one of the guys said that he played point guard. Okay, well, guess what? All point guards have their own coach. So while there's a coach up for the team, they have specific coaches for specific areas, for specific skills to help them in, specific techniques. And I think that if you're ready to play the game,
That's
if
it.
you are ready to win the game, not just play the game, because we're all playing the game, we're all still breathing, we all still wake up every day. Hopefully, you wake up and give God His glory for giving you one more chance to see the day. But for the most part, we are all trying to play the game to win. And if
Absolutely.
you're trying to play the game to win, then you need to get some coaches that's going to help navigate you through the games so that you can be your very best self. So I think your explanation was on point.
Yeah.
On point. And it's crazy though, because, like I said, I talk to people all the time about coaching and they have this bad taste in their mouth because they kind of look at it where maybe this person is only trying to get money from them, or
Right.
I've had people who've worked with coaches and they're like, I didn't get anything from it. And I think that goes with learning how to select the right coach. Learning what am I looking for when I'm looking to work with a coach. What results am I looking to gain? What's my end goal? I think that once you sit down and start identifying some of these key components before you go out and hire a coach, is going to help you make the better decision in hiring a coach, especially when it comes to the heart, right?
Yeah.
There's coaches in our industry where, listen, their practices, they do stuff a little different.
I think you hit it. Like you have to be a lot very self-aware, because sometimes, like, you'll go look for a leadership coach because you're a leader. You feel like, I want to lead better, but you may have needed a forgiveness coach because you're leading in unforgiveness. So I can give you some principles to show up differently, but if that core of who you are is still bitter and broken in unforgiveness, then even what I'm giving you may not work. And so I think not just is it important for you to know who you need or what type of coach you need, it's important that you don't rush hastily into a decision with a coach, because I know we do our discover calls, but I can meet with you and we can talk about X, Y, and Z, but you still need to go. I think people need to go out there and figure out who's the best person, because just because I'm a leadership coach does not mean I'm the leadership coach for you.
Yeah.
You may need this leadership coach. So I think it's very much so important, not just that you do it, but if you're working with a coach who is just so gun-ho about sign, to me, I'm like, well, wait, slow down. Have you done, because I don't want every client, every client is not for me. I've had people reach out and say, hey, I need you. And I'm like, well, what do you need? And when we go through that call, it's like, I'm not the best fit for you. However, I do think this person could be that for you. So just like the client needs to kind of navigate through and do their due diligence in identifying who they need, coaches do as well, because you can't take on everyone. You can't handle, one, capacity won't let you, two, everyone's not your ideal client. And so it's just that very thin line. I think that's why there's such a bad rap, is because a lot of coaches are so eager to take on clients that they're taking on clients that really don't belong to them, because I didn't get anything out of it because that wasn't the person that you needed. And then they're feeling like I'm pouring and pouring and pouring, and I'm not being able to pull what they need because that wasn't your client. And so I think it's a double-edged sword with that one.
No, I think that's so good. But you made a point about the coach. I think that my thing is this. Here's my motto, and this is what I teach in the university. I talk about, passion. I talk about purpose. I talk about popularity. What's the other one? Don't find a niche out of popularity. Don't find a niche out of what's profitable. Find a niche that's purposeful, right? And so I think that even when it comes to whether or not the coach is building their business out of profitability or popularity or purpose, but it's for the client as well. This is why it's important for you to make sure that even hiring a coach, that you are aligning, that coach is aligned with what you believe.
Absolutely.
There's a saying that the world has about, eating the meat and spitting out the bones.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell y'all real quick how I believe that is a whole lie, right? One of my favorite things to eat is catfish. Okay. Mm-hmm. Listen, I can eat some catfish and grits. I can eat some catfish and macaroni and yams. I won't go there because it's going to make me hungry. Mm-hmm. But I love eating catfish. And I don't know about you, but there's been several times where I was going to town on some catfish and I found little bones. Mm-hmm. And I'm mid-chew. So you think I'm getting ready to stop chewing to pull these bones out? Or no, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that more so speaks to how greedy you are, because the girl is spitting out them bones. Like, when that little bone get caught in my throat, I don't want to choke. So let me go and spit that out. I think that's just more so you greedy and you like
greedy. But think about it. But that makes so much sense. Like you said, you'll spit it out. But me, it might be so fine that it doesn't bother me. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's not a big deal, but that's the same thing. That's the same way we treat content. That's the same way we treat. It's like, eat the meat and spit out the bones. But what if the bone is so fine that you don't even know that it's affecting you? Mm-hmm. And I think that's how the enemy works. He's not the Bible does says that he's, prowling like a lion, seeking who he may devour. But we think of it as this big, loud. No, the enemy is subtle. and he'll slip up in the cracks or something so quick,
Very
and you
cunning.
won't even
Very
know that
cunning.
he's there. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's why I'm against that whole idea of eating the meat and spit out the bones, because the bones can be so fine you don't even know that it's affecting you. And this is why it's important for us to align ourselves with people who believe what we believe, and they understand our perspective and where we're trying to go. And that's just been my biggest thing when it comes to, what we do here with the coaches, and helping build coaches and their businesses, is just making sure that you're speaking from a space of purpose, that
Yeah.
you're not just looking for profit. Yes, we're building business, so of course there needs to be some sort of financial exchange, but I'm not just here to get the money or to be popular, but I'm here to fulfill an assignment.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing that made me fall in love with Chase Great, is because it was like, it took me a long time. Now, listen, it took me a very long time to identify where my coaching path was. Like,
Yeah.
clearly I heard you are a solution strategist. Like, okay, guy, I'm a strategist. I'm a strategist. And that was what I was rolling with. But going through the program, I very quickly identified that, well, not, no, listen to me. I quickly identified that there was something more, that there was a greater pool, but I could not identify what that pool was. But once we got to identifying that it was leadership, I was like, you know what? Now my entire life makes sense. Everything that I've been through, every time I thought I was just going to go in there and just be a regular, schmegular, regular employee, it was like, no, you're a leader. Let's make her the boss. Like, I don't want to lead anybody. But God kept putting me in the position to have to lead, because he knew that I was called to leaders. Not just am I a leader within myself, but I was called to help other leaders and navigate, and being very much so aware of my journey and what I experienced in corporate America. And I have to keep on saying, like, I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman, and I'm young, and being in corporate America in that particular space, and let me say, go back to this. I'm a Black woman that wears everything on her face. You know how Black women, we just be looking at you and they'd be looking at me like, what's wrong? Like, I'm just thinking, but being her in the space where you don't feel like you could be her, like the space where you don't feel like she matters or she's important or she's going to make a difference, having that imposter syndrome, walking through that imposter syndrome for so long in the space of leadership was very difficult, because people are looking at you with an expectation of, oh, she knows how to get it done, and you're looking at yourself like, oh my God, what am I doing here?
Yeah. Yeah.
So walking through all of that with my coach, let me say that because I had the bomb coach, walking through that with my coach and being able to be like, that's why, Jay, you went through that because of this, and this is what this was. It was one of the most liberating feelings ever. And that's why I can speak from a place of, you need a coach, because there are some things you're not meant to walk by yourself. You're just not. You're not meant to navigate everything by yourself. And there are some things that your mama can't walk you through, your daddy can't walk you through, your friends can't walk you through, your family can't walk you through. There are some things that people are truly, God has prepared them to be able to help you navigate or walk through this thing. You're not by yourself, but she's called to walk you through it. And so for me, going through that with my coach, it was like, oh, that's super dope. So now that I'm here, it's just like, okay, God. And it's so weird, because once you get that to that place of realization and that enlightenment and your eyes open, you see everything else different. You be like, that's why. And even when you start getting attacked, I know this is kind of like going offside on a little tangent. My friends say you be going on these tangents, but when you even when you get attacked, you see your attacks differently. You be like,
you do.
Okay, so this is what you're something is coming. God wants to use me in some type of way. I need to show up some kind of way, and because I keep getting attacked, you're literally trying to not get me to do this because I know it's greater than me. It's bigger than me. But that realization it comes once you had that switch turn on. That switch was turned on for me. I was like, oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah. You know what though? When you talk about that whole, I want to kind of go back a little bit to the imposter syndrome that you just acknowledged. I want to be honest about something. And it's so funny. I think I was talking to my husband about this, and we were talking about imposter syndrome. And I want to bring this up because I know Jazz has an amazing perspective on imposter syndrome, because we've talked about imposter syndrome, we've talked about depression, and what those things look like. How do you muster through? One of the things that people ask me, they say, what keeps you committed? Entrepreneurship is not easy, right? Listen, we're gonna do a whole episode on what entrepreneurship, the fight, because it is definitely a spiritual warfare. I believe that it is a spiritual journey, it is a faith journey. I know that the word says that all we need is faith the size of a mustard seed, but you need a whole container of those mustard seeds, right? But one of the things people ask, is what keeps me committed. And to be honest, it's legit the people. I feel like if I don't do my part, then I am doing a disservice to the people that I'm supposed to serve. The people, if I didn't do my part, then maybe Coach Jazz wouldn't be here, or maybe Coach Sandra wouldn't be here, right? And so that's so important to me. But I want to kind of go back to the imposter syndrome part, because I want to tell y'all something. So, super transparent moment. I had this conversation, and I told my husband, I said, I think I'm suffering from imposter syndrome right now. And he's like, what? Like, why? I said, because I feel like a fraud. And he's like, and I've shared this with a couple people, and they looking at me all type of sideways. This is why you need coaches and mentors around you. So I shared this, and they're looking at me sideways like, what is wrong with you? And I was honest. I said, when I was a child, I was super independent, right? I was given the responsibility of my younger sister. I was given the responsibility of coming home after school, when no one was there, fixing lunch, sitting down in front of the TV, waiting for mom to get home from work. Like, I was given a lot of responsibility as a young child. Fast forward to high school, I was a straight A student. I'm on student council. I'm class secretary, doing all of these things. But I created this image that I got it, right? That I don't need any help. I got this. Well, now, so many years later, I look back and I'm like, but I did need help. Like, I did need help in high school. I remember I was so cool with my counselors that they never set me down to talk about college and what I needed to do and the scholarships. Like, we didn't have that conversation, because why? I was this independent young person who didn't need the help. I went to college, same thing. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have, anybody to help me, because everybody assumed that I had it together. And so now, as an adult, a wife with 3 kids, I had to stop one day and was like, I don't have this together. Like, I need help. And I think that, and I say the reason why I was saying like I felt like a fraud is because I never knew how to ask for help. And so people always assumed that I always had the answer, that I always had it together, and I didn't. And so now at this age, I'm at a point now where I'm getting in that space where I need to ask for help. I need to talk about this, because I think that there are other women who grew up the same way, going through the same challenges, and now in a space of their life where they're like, how do you get past this? Right? We bought a house 2 years ago. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, type thing. Why? Because, oh, LaToya got it. Yeah.
I think that's a big one. And it's so funny, because I think we're at a place where, if you really, I don't know, like, I know social media is based on like your friends and things like that, and then they throw some stuff to monkey wrenches in there. But what I see a lot in my timeline are women saying, help me. I want a soft life. I want to be loved differently.
Like,
I want to be taken care of differently. Baby, when I tell you I'm all the way there, like, y'all already know, I post for my husband all the time. Some of those are cries for help. Like, can you hurry up, because I'm tired of doing this by myself. I don't know where you at, but I promise when you show up, you can have it all. Like, you can have it. I don't want it. I want a soft life. But I think that is, to me, when you talk about that, that is how we were groomed. Let me just be like, we were groomed to be that way. We were groomed to be strong. We were groomed to be independent. I feel like it's the Black woman's motto, strong Black woman. And I'm going to say it like this. And I know that this is this type of podcast, but you don't hear strong any other race of women than Black women. You
That's
always hear strong Black women. You don't hear it for anyone else about them being strong, that it's okay for them to be meek and humble and taken care of and all of those things. It's embedded in society that we don't need help as Black women because we are strong Black women. We are independent women. We are all, I mean, we got all my women who independent. Throw your hands up at me. Like, it's
listen, that was the
easier
anthem.
for us to be independent. And it's like, maybe I don't want to be independent. And then we talk about this. Listen, this one right here, I can talk about it all day. I done wrote about it. I done talked about it. I can talk about that thing all day because that's not us. That's how we've been groomed to be as women. You like you said, I grew up young, cooking dinner. I just told my class today, like, I started cooking at 5. My mom will tell you, like, Jazz was in the kitchen at 5. I was cooking at 5 years old. I was taking my sister. I'm 3 years older than my sister. I was responsible to walk her to school, make sure her homework was done, make sure we ate, bathe her, get her in. I'm 5, 7, 8, 10 years old. She's right under me, but I have to be responsible. We are groomed to be that way. And that's why I feel like right now, so many women are tired, frustrated. It's so many other things that has, I could talk about that all day. I'm with you 100%. I definitely think it's a conversation worth exploring and having multiple conversations in regards to that, because we're just tired as women, but we're groomed that way.
Yeah. That's funny that you identify, that we are the strong. I did a class and we were talking about, the different strengths. And one of the young ladies said that she's always been identified as a strong woman. And she said it was during the season when she had lost her mom. And she was like, don't call me strong again. She's like, because I'm not strong. I am in a space where I am weak. I need help. And because I keep being categorized as strong, I'm overlooked for opportunity. I'm overlooked for help and support because, she got it. She don't need, no. And I've been hearing this term. What is it? Soft?
The soft life.
The soft life. I've been hearing this term. And I'm like, what does this mean? Let me look a little further into this.
It's a life we don't get the luxury of having. And I hate to say this, as Black women, we don't get the soft life. You know what I'm saying? Like, we crave the soft life, but we get the, listen, listen, I know we're supposed to be talking about something different, but you brought it up and here we are. But this is how it goes. Let me listen to me. If you're in podcast land, if you're watching this, this is the story of our lives. Like, we could be at this for like 4 hours because we didn't left off 4 times. But it's a real thing, and it's so funny. I write, like, when I get overwhelmed, I write. I wrote this probably about 3 years ago. I went on a tangent. Like, I want to be soft. I think we get this rap of being strong and hard and all these other things, but it's because we've been made to be that way. Talk about if you boil an egg, you put an egg in hot water, you boil a potato, the potato will be soft and the egg will go hard. Our conditions go hard. Like, we are the eggs that go in the hot water. Other people are the potatoes. They get to be soft. We got to be tough and strong. I'm over it. I don't want to be here anymore.
I'll be an egg.
If you see my husband, tell him I'm here. I'm waiting on him.
Go, Sandra. What do you think about this? What do you? I mean, and I'm excited.
What I hear is, and I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but there is one thing that's different, though, at this time, which is what I love about what this podcast is going to do, because we're not always running to say, I need help. But if the people that can help are out there saying, if you're going through this, if you have challenges in this area, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
We remove that barrier from someone having to take the initiative to say, or, I need some help. They will listen to this podcast and hear from so many diverse coaches, business coaches, forgiveness coaches, more than one, relationship coaches. There's so many different leadership coaches, so many type of coaching that in your everyday life, you may be going through something, but you have not been taught. We have not been taught to say, I need help. Well, if you watch this podcast, we are making that initial step for you.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We're here. And we realize that there are people out there who are living and probably living well, but you want to do better. And you might be struggling. And we've got coaches here who are trained to help you. And so if one of these coaches meets your need, then this is how we can connect.
Yeah.
I'm
I,
glad you said
that help piece. I want it to be. I want the word help to not be negative.
that.
I don't want it because I think that we've kind of been conditioned to believe that it's a sign of weakness or even a sign of ignorance, where it's like I don't want to make it seem like I don't know or I don't know what I'm doing or I don't know. But now, and I feel like after purchasing our home, I feel like a real adult. Even though I've been an adult for a long time, but like this, like put me in a whole nother world. I think that it's now time to stop looking at help as less than and looking at help as something that's going to make you better, something that's going to make you greater. And so that's one of the reasons why, this topic of imposter syndrome is something that needs to be explored, like Jazz said, as many times as possible, because I know that there are other women. And this term imposter syndrome is definitely a new term because this isn't the term that they were using back in the 90s. This isn't the term that my parents were using. They're probably still trying to figure out what it even means. So for those of you who are wondering what imposter syndrome is, I'm gonna let Jazz does a great job at describing imposter
Um,
syndrome.
Imposter syndrome is feeling like, I'm going to just say it in my own words because I
Yeah.
can like, so imposter syndrome is you feeling like you don't belong in a certain or particular place because you lack something.
Yeah.
So I could just give you, for me, it was at the time, here I am moving through the corporate ladder with no degree. So it's like, how do I fit here? I don't belong here. I don't feel like I can stand toe to toe with these people because there is a lack in my life, right? Or I can't really relish in my success because I still keep feeling less than. So I feel like an imposter when I come to this table. I feel like an imposter when I'm in certain spaces or certain rooms because I don't feel like I belong or I fit in or I meet the bare minimum requirement that everyone else in this room has. That is what imposter syndrome is in my own terms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very easy to understand though.
Coach Sandra, is that something? Have you ever experienced it before?
Yes, but I of course I wouldn't have labeled it imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
right? I wouldn't have and labeled that, but feeling so underqualified,
Yeah.
yet in the position to do it. And then, what I understand now is there's a fear that others will find out
Yep.
that you're really not all that you say that you are.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think some of the words that you might think is like, oh, you're a fraud, or
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
you're phony,
Mm-hmm.
right? Being fake. Those are maybe some of the terms that you may feel like. I feel like a fraud. I feel like a phony. I feel like, I'm not, I'm fake. Those are things that you may be feeling to let you know, oh my God, this is what imposter syndrome is, and this is what that feels like. And so I love the way Coach Sandra just explained that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fraud. That's how I felt. I felt like a fraud. Like I had been going through life, showing up, being the leader that I believe that God has assigned me to be, stepping into different places. And not just because I thought I knew it all or any of those things. It's just really an innate behavior of mine to be a gap filler. And so being in the season I am in now, it was like looking back, I'm like, man, I feel like I was fraudulent because again, I was standing in these positions and I know that these are positions that God called me to, but I didn't feel like I was qualified or prepared because of the lack of help or the lack of support that I didn't get. And so again, like Jazz said, this is a conversation that can definitely go on and on and on. And there's just so many more topics that we're going to discuss on this show, just so that we can just be transparent,
But I want to add one thing. I just gotta add this. I need people to know that imposter syndrome is not new. Like Toya said, like your parents probably had that feeling, your grandparents had that feeling. We can go to the Bible and say Moses had that feeling when God was telling him to go speak, and he like, "Hoy, I can't. I stutter. Who's gonna listen to me? Like, who am I that you gonna send me to go do this?" That was imposter syndrome. Feeling like if I go stand before this Pharaoh and tell him to let your people go, he ain't gonna listen to me because who do I think I am? And so it's always I think I need people to know that it's a natural feeling though. It's not like it's like oh my God, you're the only one. You're not the only one. It's been happening forever. But two, I think it's a human feeling, sometimes to feel less than. And that's why something that Coach Sandra said earlier when she was saying like, we don't want to wave our flags for help. But that's why when you hear things like this, it's important for you to start trying to identify, where do I have this in my life? Who can support me in this? If you don't want to use the word help, who can support me in this, right? So maybe you are in leadership and you're micromanaging everything because you want everything to be perfect because you feel like it's coming from you. My name is going to be on it. My team is the one doing it. So I know that was one of my behaviors as a leader, is that I tell people I had to take over spirit. I would take over a project or an assignment because I needed to put my eyes on it to make sure before you submit this, because it got my name on it, but it was imposter syndrome. I didn't trust the people around me to do their job because I didn't trust that I could do my job.
That's good.
So it's just like really important for, as you're hearing what we're saying, like Coach Sandra said, if this is resonating or connecting with you, then I think it's really important for you to go and look and, identify which one of these coaches. Go to coachmylife.com and see who can support me in this. It doesn't have to be help. You don't want to use the word help, but who can support me in navigating through this.
Yeah.
Another way I like to think of coaching is that, and we learned this in our training program, that a coach really is a bridge to help the client get to their solution, right? We're not the solution, but we serve as a bridge to help you get to your solution. And it's not that we're better than, it's just that there are certain things, especially with the niche part of it, there are certain things that we've been through, and we suffered through, and we hurt through, and we survived through, and we got on the other side of it into a place of victory. And now we have some real strategies, and we want to share those if it happens to be where you need the strategies, but they're a bridge to help you to get to the solution that you need.
Yep, I say it all the time that and I can only speak for Chase Great Coaches, that we are the bridge. We're the bridge between the struggle and the savior. So how can I help my client get across that bridge? How can I support my client? How can I, and I say it all the time, I have not arrived. I don't even believe in arrival, right? I just don't. I believe that we're on a constant journey. We're trying to navigate, figure this thing out, figure life out, okay, Lord, you've called me to this place. You keep giving me a day. Every day you open my eyes up for me. So it gotta be something that I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't believe that he sent us here. Oh, somebody, I was listening to a coach. I was listening to somebody, and they were saying, I don't believe that God called us to struggle. I think that he really did call us to be successful. The thing is that we have to go through the struggle so that we can build up the courage and the tenacity and the perseverance to get to that level of success, that is due to us because of who we are in him. But I want to just give a quick disclaimer, because we was talking about how we've been doing stuff since we were children. I just want to make sure that our mamas, because they're going to listen to this, and I need y'all to know that we love y'all, and we did not say that y'all were bad moms. Our mamas was out here working. I know Jazz mom was working like my mom, working multiple jobs, long hours to make life happen.
Working, yes.
Listen, so let me go ahead and put that out there before I get a phone call. Like, so why are you trying to tell the world that I was leaving you alone by yourself? So yeah, that I just need to make sure I gave that disclosure. But listen, we have so much more to talk about. My main objective, while this is only episode 1, I wanted to give the opportunity to meet the coaches behind the brand, the coaches behind the movement. I am so grateful to have Coach Jazz and Coach Sandra on the Chase Gray University team, because these are our client success coaches. These are the coaches that are navigating our students through our curriculum, through the program, and making sure that they come out certified in their niche and that they're ready to serve you. They're ready to apply the strategies that they have gained from their own personal life experience. Let me say that the coaches that we have on this podcast in our community, we're not pulling, let me say this, we don't pull our strategy or our programs out of the air. Okay, these are God appointed assignments, and I am so serious when it comes to that. I don't want you to Google and say, oh, what coaching area can I make the most money in? If that's your mindset, then this isn't for you, right? We are all about helping our coaches heal. If you've experienced, I remember when Coach Sandra first came to Chase Gray, and we were working through her niche. And I remember talking to her and how we finally got to the forgiveness piece and how we talked about her losing her sister and talked about the challenge that she had about men in general, because men are the ones who took her sister's life, and how she had to, push through that experience and push through the forgiveness piece. And it was like, oh my gosh, I can own this story because I've experienced it. I've been healed from this. I've been able to see that, yes, I've had these challenges, but these are the strategies that I can put into place so that you can heal as well.
You when I if I may use an experience from tonight, when it comes to coaching. So out of nowhere, I'm having technical problems, right? And I'm dropped out, and I've got to come find a way. It is through uh, having been coached myself and having gone through the coaching and training program. And as a coach, as a business owner, stuff happens.
It does.
Stuff happens, as people say, life be lifing, right? Stuff happens that you don't expect to happen. And guess what? You still got to show up.
Yep.
You still got to produce. And so I could hear you all talking the whole time. And I was trying to talk back at you, but you couldn't hear me. But what I wasn't going to do is give up and not get back on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was not going to let the enemy stop me from my assignment.
Because that's what.
And that's what. But in a community like we have, we encourage each other through life. When life is lifing, we encourage each other when stuff happens that, out of nowhere, this happens, and then it's followed by this, and it's followed by this. And we have an assignment. We have kingdom assignments. And as you said, what keeps us going is knowing somebody's out there. And
Yeah.
if we don't show up, somebody does not get what they need.
Absolutely.
So with the help of God, we're going to show up. In the background, there's going to be some struggles. You may never see them. You didn't want to see me over here when I was trying to get back on. It was not pretty. But we have struggles, and we become stronger from the struggles. We become stronger from the life training and coaching that we get, right? So that we can manage the struggles that come on, and they won't be a hindrance. And we've got another place. We have an assignment. We've got work to do, and we can't let the struggle stop us.
Listen, even when it came to launching this podcast, I tell the team, I was afraid. I'm talking about like nervous, afraid. Well, number one, I've tried to launch several podcasts and they just didn't work. It just never worked. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like my husband, he's done podcasts. I have a really good friend of mine. Well, he's my cousin, but we're really close. He has a podcast and I'm on his show all the time. And I look at them and I watch them and I'm like, oh, you guys do so well. But then when it comes to me, it seems like I always mess up, right? And so launching the Coach My Life podcast was a struggle for me. But I'm like, that's because there's someone out there that not just need to hear my voice, but they need to hear the voices that are going to be on
Mhm.
this show. They need to hear the stories. I'm excited for you guys to hear from self coach Tiffany and talking
Mhm.
about her mom moments and how to persevere when you are, when you have a child with special needs. How does a mom still, feel whole and loved when she's fighting with certain challenges that certain moms don't fight with, right?
Mhm.
I look forward to having some of the conversations with the coaches that we're going to have conversations with, because their stories, they don't look like my stories. But what I have learned is that although their story doesn't look like my story, we're all connected. We're all
Mhm.
connected in some kind of way. I was talking to mindset coach Latrice, and she's going to be on the show as well. We were talking about her story and her going through her grieving process, and I had to take a moment and acknowledge how I went through the grieving process of losing my dad. And I was like, man, I don't think I gave myself the opportunity to grieve. I just went on to the next and on to the next, right? Trying to be that strong woman that we just talked about. So I'm excited about the episodes to come here, and I'm hoping that we're not doing this show. I'm not coming from the perspective of, everyone's coach. I'm coming from the perspective of a student. The same way the listeners are gaining and pulling insight from the coaches, so am I. And I just hope that, the shows that we have coming up, the guests that we have coming up, I just hope that they penetrate your heart, that they penetrate your mind, and they help you change how you show up so that you are sure to become the exact thing that God created you to become. Is it going to be difficult? Yes. Are you going to have some struggle moments? Yes. But if you are a part of a community, if you have other women that are connected with you who can help you navigate through this thing, I'm telling you, it makes life a whole lot easier. A whole lot easier. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to end our very first episode of the Coach My Life podcast. Super excited about that. But before we end, I want to give Coach Jazz and Coach Sandra the opportunity to share any final words before we close out. Coach Jazz?
Oh, I'm about to let Coach Sandra go. I feel like I've been talking a whole lot. She needed some time.
Okay, let Coach Sandra go.
Okay.
I believe that this is a Kairos moment for anyone that's listening. This is a Kairos moment. This is not by accident. It's not by coincidence. This is God working all things out together for your good.
Yeah.
This is you praying in private, asking for help, and you don't know what help looks like. If you're watching this podcast, you found it.
Yeah.
And so keep watching, stay in tune, because what you need may show up here at any given time. So please make yourself available to this podcast. And thank you for listening today.
Absolutely.
I should have went first.
That was a nice closing. Like,
That was a
okay,
show enough close. Like
it was. It was. Like, we're supposed to just end right now. It was. I'm sorry.
I should have went for Coach Sandra. You could have just been like, "No, you go first, baby," and I would have been like, "Yes, ma'am." But no.
Yes,
Listen, okay, so listen, I'm gonna be honest. This is what you get. Let me just say that this is what you get: authenticity, a
hmm
place where you get to be yourself. And that's what I love the most. I get to be myself. Like I, Coach Sandra is the grace. Coach Toya is the mercy, and I just play too much. Just pray my strength in the Lord. As you're praying the prayers that you're praying for your help, pray for my help too. No, seriously. Let me stop playing. I love that I can authentically be Jazz. And I think that's a place that I had to learn to be able to be okay with. I had to learn how to be okay with myself. I had to learn how to live with myself. You are listening to this podcast. I'll just say I took a trip by myself for the first time and I had a ball. Could not have done that prior to. I didn't have the courage. I didn't have the belief in myself to think that I can do it. I felt like it would be crazy. Other people have to go with me. But coaching has changed my life. It has literally shifted how I see the world and how I see me. And so being able to show up and be yourself is one of the most undervalued, underrated experiences, being able to be yourself. And I think I love that about this community. So I hope that you can continue to join us on the journey of, no, I'm joking. Just join us. Coach Sandra said it. She did it so well. I'm just gonna be quiet and let Coach Toya end it. But come on back and watch us.
Okay. Listen.
I gotta can I say one thing?
Yes.
Um, and I love your point, Coach Jazz, about um, being able to show up your genuine self. As kingdom coaches, God called you because He needed you
Yep.
with the personality that you have, with the way. And I'm talking to the listeners, everyone that's listening. God wanted you. If He wanted a different vessel, He will call a different vessel. And when He needs to use a different vessel, He'll use a different vessel.
Yeah.
But He has called you because you are who, despite of our shortcomings, right? So the shortcomings are there, but despite them, God is still able to use us for the assigned kingdom person, the purpose that He has, and you don't have to change your personality. He knew it when He called you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Coach Jazz and Coach Sandra. This is not going to be the last time that you hear from our coaches. While we have a wonderful schedule of amazing coaches, they are definitely mixed up in between where they're going to just be coming on and just having these candid conversations with us. Like I said, we need to talk about business. So stay tuned for that whole 2-hour episode by yourself. No, it won't be 2 hours, but it will be some time that we're going to talk about full-time entrepreneurship. So thank you so much, Coach Jazz. Thank you so much, Coach Sandra, for rocking out with us on today. So listen, I just want to just go ahead really quickly. Coach Jazz said something that stood out to me. She talked about just being yourself, right? And I think that a lot of us struggle with being ourselves because we really don't know who we are. If I could say really quickly, who I was before my children, before my husband, I'm not her anymore. And I remember going shopping and I was saying how I was struggling with my appearance and how I looked because I didn't know, I didn't know who I was anymore. I was the prissy girl with the stiletto heels and the handbags and the right. And then I turned into this boy mom. And I'm like, where's my jogger and where are my gym shoes? Like, who wants to walk around in heels all day? But I had to redefine who I was. So if this is you, you're in a place where you're like, Latoya, Coach Jazz said that this is a space that I could be myself, but I'm still trying to find out who myself is, then I encourage you. There's a link in the caption. We have just introduced the Coach My Life Network membership, where we are coaching everyday people through everyday life. So if you are looking for some training, some applicable training, if you're looking for some strategy, some coaching, some resources, don't just stop here at the podcast. Now, don't get me wrong. We're going to give you some good stuff here on the podcast, but I encourage you to click the link and join us in our exclusive membership so that you can get that hands-on support and you can find your community. Find the community that's going to support you through your challenging times, give you strategies on how to overcome and conquer some of these hard things that we endure through life. What Coach Sandra say? Listen, life most definitely be lifing. So make sure you click the link in the caption. Join us in the Coach My Life exclusive membership. Get access to other coaches who can serve you and be the help or the support that you need in becoming the exact thing that God has created you to become. Again, I am your host, Latoya Early. So excited about what this show is going to bring. I'm hoping that it brings you a new perspective. I'm hoping that we can help shift some behaviors, shift some mindset, and really serve you in the areas that you desire support. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you guys on our next episode. Be blessed.